Hello, welcome back to Shrewsbury Soccer Training. Today we'll be looking at a training exercise that focuses on being able to receive the ball in different variations and to get a good contact on the ball for a shot. Now we will be working on letting the ball come across our body. We'll be focusing on being able to take shots with the near post foot, which is the foot closest to the ball as you receive it. Ideally, you want to be able to receive the ball and let it come across your body so you can open up your entire body to the goal or into the direction in which you're going, so that way if you want to go in more than one direction you can. So if you receive it across your body, you can either go all the way across the field, you can go diagonally, you can go straight, or you can cut back and go in the same direction you received the ball from. If you receive the ball with a near foot, then you can kind of only go in one direction. It's very difficult to go further. So that's one of the reasons why doing near touch is sometimes not ideal. However, it's good to practice them because in some situations they do present a better opportunity for scoring, and that's typically what this will be focusing on. Of course, we'll be working on touches on the ball, being able to work on and off the ball, 1-2 touch passes, and things of the sort. So keep in mind that everything is situational, of course, and that, I have to look at where my players are skill-wise. What do we need to work on? How can I challenge them to make mistakes? How can I add more complexity and more layers to the training so that I can see how far can I push them? How creative can I make them? Or where do they struggle on being creative and working things around? Because I give them the basic outline and what I expect, but I do like to see some creativity. How can you work around the exercise within limited capacity? Speaking of limited capacity, the field today, or in this video, it snowed in October. So, and the temperatures have not exactly risen high enough to melt super fast. So we had a very small space to work with, and this is not a bad thing. You don't need a whole field to do a full practice. You just need enough space to get done what you need to get done. And what I'm happy about this video and what it demonstrates is that it really focuses on working in controlled environments that are contained and cannot go outside. So without saying too much, let's get into it and let's get some training done. Hey guys, welcome back to Shrewsbury Soccer Training. So today we'll be working on 1-2 touch passes. So be going through a drill, passing the ball off, and working on getting the ball across our bodies and having a one-touch finish. This will be doing through ball work, and then on footwork through cones, being able to work around a pole and connect passes between two people. We do have snow still on the field, as you can see, and which means we'll be working on restricted areas, so we'll have a much smaller area to work with. Luckily that area is in front of the goal, so we can get a lot more done than if we were just working in the middle of the field or somewhere else. So yeah, today's really focusing on that 1-2 touch pass, letting the ball come across our body, once again opening up the field as well as opening up the goal to have a better opportunity instead of just restricting it to one side or trying to force it to the other. This provides a more fluid and smooth transition from receiving the pass into the shot without having to take too many touches. And then we'll be doing some cardio work with and without the ball, and really running, because today obviously it is kind of chilly. So try and do more cardio work, more touches on the ball, things to really get the blood flowing and to make us sweat. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. The other thing is, I want to say thank you so much to you guys. I just got the email today that we reached 500 subscribers. I'm super excited. I know on TikTok I have like almost 30,000, but to reach 500 on YouTube just feels so much more rewarding. I don't know why, it just seems so much more rewarding because I put so much more work and effort into these videos, and it just seems to be a really satisfying milestone for me. So thank you so much, and yeah, let's see if we can get to 1,000 before the end of 2020. We'll see what happens. So anyways, let's get into the intro and then we'll get in with this this training exercise. All right, so much like what I do on TikToks, I kind of walk through these drills prior to actually doing them. So that's what I'm going to start doing now. So this is a drill where on one side you're going to have ball work. So you'll do your typical in-betweens, toe touches, roll stops, and basic ball work through the cones with a simple pass down to the pole. You'll have one person on one side. You'll pass them the ball, and then they will pass behind the pole, creating that 1-2 touch breakaway kind of idea. Over here, you're going to have more of the footwork without the ball. So your slaloms, your high knees, your fast feet, your bunny hops, and things like that, where at the end, the soccer ball is at the end of the cones. You will then come out of the footwork, pass the ball, and still execute the same thing by shooting it to one side or the other. You'll do these 6 times each. You'll switch, so that way you're working with both feet, not just on one side of the foot and not the other. Alright, so I'm going to walk through this one. This is a ladder, of course, as you can see, working up the field, but it is a cardio skill work ladder where you'll start at the end line, or the goal line, as you'll see, and basically you'll have your soccer ball. You will be on the side of the stick. Let's get rid of the stick. Goodbye, stick. Anyways, so you'll be on the side of the ball. What you'll do is you'll run up to the first part. You'll stop your ball, so it works on being able to control the ball. You then sidestep over to this ball. You do the skill work for a set amount of duration or touches, and then you side shuffle back, run back to the end line, pick up your ball, and sprint all the way down. Alright guys, so that's a really fun little exercise that you can do. It's kind of a universal kind of workout because in my opinion, I do believe a lot of players need to have the ability to shoot, but what this does is it forces you to work with a whole bunch of complexity in a restrained area on a field. But the whole idea is to be able to go through one exercise, transition to the other, but still accomplish the same goal of letting the ball come across your body. We did work on near foot shots, which is where you hit it with the foot that's closest to the ball, or the inside foot. They're a little more difficult to hit because you have to make sure you really get around the ball. I don't really recommend them, but it is good to practice them because there are some situations where you will be presented with that issue. So I did try to encourage my players during the tail end of my practice to try to use that inside foot. But typically you want that ball to come across your body, across the body, receive it with that far foot, and then to try to either take a shot or be able to control the ball moving forward. The reason why you do that is because it just makes it easier to open up your body and your field of vision to more of the field or more of the goal. If you hit it with the near foot, you kind of limit yourself in the direction in which you receive the ball. So it's a little harder to open up. So letting the ball come across your body is better. But let's get into a couple of questions. Yeah, let's see what the first question is. All right, so the first question is from Bergs 6708. For defense, movements and how to work together. Movements, you need to make sure that you're working together. A lot of times defense has a big breakdown in communication and they get too far apart. So the fullbacks will get too far away for their center defensive backs or their sweeper, depending on what the formation is. And the biggest problem with that is once you've moved too far out to the line without really communicating to your center back or to your outside mid, you open up a whole bunch of space that they can play around you and take that space behind you that your center defensive back can't always mark because he has to make sure he's managing the center mids and the strikers. But if you overcommit on the wings, then that causes a lot of problems. So you want to make sure you're communicating with your outside mids as well as your defensive backs. But in order to work together, it really comes down to communication and understanding of how each other works. But really, communication. If you don't have strong communication, then you're going to run into a big issue of overstepping, providing too much space behind you that your teammates can't cover. If you step up, then you don't call for someone to either support you, you can leave too much space behind you. So you don't want to step too far, of course, that you can't recover fast enough. But if you can't recover, communication is the key to working together. Honestly, you don't have to have a lot of skill, but if your communication skills are there and you're kind of okay on being able to receive and control the ball, you can accomplish a whole lot just by communicating well with your team. So, all right, next question comes from Daniel Aliyah. What is your favorite team in the Premier League? Well, my favorite team has been Manchester United. My grandfather, when he was alive, was very adamant about me supporting Man U because that's kind of like the family thing. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, I like Man U because everyone I know about talks about Man U. Or they have some certain issue or reason that they choose to go for that team. For me, it's always been Manchester United since I was very little. I've always liked them. I like their logo. I like their team, culture. I like their playing style, and I've enjoyed watching them play. But mostly it's because of family. It's the typical. My family cheered for them, so I was kind of raised to cheer for them as well. So that's kind of how that is. From Robert T. What do you think is more important? Individual brilliance from your players or the tactical setup from you as a coach? I think it's a combination of both. You can't have one that's more important than the other, but the coach needs to have tactics set up that support individual brilliance from his or her players. You need to make sure that your coaching style supports your players' intuition as well as creativity. Because if they're able to be creative on the field and understand your coaching style, your formation, and everything that you've put up, and they're able to take that and, create something of their own that works, that shows the understanding of the coach as well as the ability of the players to take what the coach has given them and create their own kind of spin on it moving down the field. So individual brilliance and tactical setup go hand in hand. So you don't want to be a coach who has a great tactical setup, but it doesn't really encourage player creativity, which is what is individual brilliance, is being able to be creative and to manipulate what you have to work more efficiently with what you're trying to accomplish, which is, of course, opening space and working together. So I do believe that they are equally important. I don't think one is more important than the other because that's what leads to great success. All right, so the next question comes from Andy. How can I increase stamina and speed? Stamina kind of comes from going out there and, putting in the extra effort. So whenever you go out and train on days that you don't have training, or if you go for runs, so I always went for 3-mile runs every single day that I didn't have practice. It's the only time I could actually go, but I would always try to go for 3 or 5 mile runs with my dad and my brother. And we'd always try and, keep up with my dad. He's always been a super fast runner. He's enjoyed it. but we would always go out and we'd be doing more, always doing more stuff. You know, running, we'd run hills, we'd do high intensity interval training, which helps with speed, also with stamina, but you also want to make sure that you're trying to really incorporate your own personal training alongside your actual practices in the game. So on your days off, don't just sit around, try to find ways to increase and improve yourself. And definitely that comes with going for runs and really enjoying, you know, nature, but also trying to find ways to improve weaknesses. But speed and stamina kind of come from putting in the extra effort in between practices. So, all right, next question from Santino. Is it ever too late to join a team? Yes and no. So let's say if you're 18 or older, you can, so this is a complicated question because I don't really know where it's asking for, but each team does have a certain age group that you have to be in year-wise. So if you're 2008, you have to play through 2008s or early 2009s. Or they'll combine the teams and have like a certain age group, but you play an age group up if you are a combined group typically. So if you're younger, of course you can join club teams. If you're older, there are some academy teams that are pro focused that do take on older people, 18 and older, to go on tour with them or to play for them. So it kind of depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about too late to go pro, there are certain cutoffs that I would suggest. So if you're 30 or older, your chances of going pro are not too great. I'm not going to say impossible because that's not fair, but it's very slim. To play for an academy, if you're 15 or older, or 14 or older, is very difficult. But to play for a club, typically it could more than likely just be, do you have the finances? So, but no, you're never too old to play. They've got adult leagues and everything else that you can play amateurishly. So, but yeah, those are the questions that I can answer today because I can talk forever when it comes to these questions. But yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to send them to me at Instagram, or you can comment below and I'll try and pull them from our comment section here on YouTube, or you can try and connect with me at TikTok and send me DMs there and I'll try and pull them as well. But today, that's all we have time for, and yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. If you haven't had a chance to, please subscribe and click the notification bell to be reminded of every time I upload a new video, and to help me get to 1,000. Almost there, past the halfway mark, and I appreciate all the support that you guys have given me. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.